So Brian, welcome to Arrow Presents. Good to have you here.
Thank you very much.
Thank you for coming in. I can tell you've got an American accent, but I know you are just down the road.
Despite being here for 30 years, I still have a American accent.
So Brian, you're here from Hypersay. Can you tell us a bit more about who you are and who
Sure.
Hypersay are as a company?
So Hypersay is a startup based here in London, and we are concentrating on turning PowerPoint presentations into interactive dialogues. Now I say PowerPoint presentations, but we have to include Google Slides because obviously a lot of people are migrating to that. So we currently support both Google Slides and PowerPoint presentations. And what we basically do is take the presentation as it stands, we convert it, and then we allow, after the conversion, the presenter to introduce interactivity to each slide. So under each slide, they can ask a question. That would be an open-ended question so that the participants then could give an open-ended answer. They can take a poll, yes, no, or how many, 10, 20, 30, so they can take a poll.
Yeah.
The presenter can introduce a video if he wants to, text and images. So it basically adds a level of testosterone to a PowerPoint presentation, which has served the world tremendously for the last, actually, I think it's 30 years. It was last year, I think 30 years PowerPoint has been alive. But we add that little extra to make it just a little bit more, well, much more engaging.
Okay.
It's especially relevant in the world of sitting looking at a phone while someone's speaking, right?
That's exactly right. And so we are hoping to modernize what Microsoft and what Google Slides have presented to the business world and to the education world. This laptop, our mobile phones, they're actually become a little bit barriers to communication as opposed to aids. And Hypersay, once you convert your PowerPoint presentation, allows you to seamlessly drop your presentation into the laptop or the mobile phone of your target audience. And that is not, we don't require any password, we don't require any login. Literally with a session code, you have my presentation sitting in your mobile device.
And what kind of industries and what kind of customers has this been successful in so far?
Okay, we as a company, and this is back to 2011, have been in education. Mm-hmm. Okay, so the genesis of our previous existence was about digitalizing textbooks. And that was a bad idea because that was like Apple trying to talk to the record industry that the album that they're selling for 10 quid, we can sell it for 50 pence. And so that was a bad idea. So what we did is we took the software and the engagement tools we had about taking a textbook, turning it into a digital format, bringing the classroom alive, and we said, hey, let's apply that to PowerPoint because PowerPoint also suffers from the same thing about boredom. So we took that and now we've applied it to PowerPoint. But what we found is our contacts from our previous companies, which was all in education, were using much more PowerPoint in their university, in particular university lecture halls, some secondary schools, but mainly in university lecture halls. Because as you just pointed out, this didn't exist really 5 years ago. But now you can't find a student in a university lecture hall without one.
Sure.
And it became a barrier, and it's a recent barrier to the professor giving a lecture to the student, that is the student looking at the cricket score or are they looking at me? And now Hypersay allows them without any education or new software or training to say, ladies and gentlemen, just type in Chem 1 and my presentation for today is sitting in their laptop. And obviously Big Brother is a little bit present in that we allow the professor and the students to know who's logged in and who's not.
Sure.
So you log in, but if your icon goes red, you're checking the cricket score. If it's green, you're with the professor.
And where's the natural expansion route out of education and into other markets, do you think?
That's really good because, good question, because education, we feel, is our bed for the product for the next decade. And what do I mean by that? Well, we think that students that experience Hypersay over the next 3 or 4 years in an education environment, when they get to Alcatel, when they get to Pfizer, when they get to Peugeot, they're going to say, oh, we're making a presentation to this client. Why aren't we using Hypersay?
Yep.
And so we are now focused on the corporate market, because we believe that the same dynamics of a stale and static message exist with the presence of PowerPoint when a company who's selling a product, selling a service, meets a client with a PowerPoint presentation. You're starting already from yesterday. But if you convert that PowerPoint presentation into a Hypersay format, we believe that the salesperson, well, let's say it a little bit differently. What we believe is that the customer has an equal footing to the presentation because they have a voice.
Sure.
They can ask questions. There's a question wall to ask questions about my product. There's feedback forms about my product. I can ask you a question. Do you like white shirts or pink shirts? And now I know that my follow-up to you is to sell pink shirts because you've answered the question inside my dynamic PowerPoint presentation, not the paper one that I left on your desk.
It's a two-way dialogue.
Very much so.
Brian, so just thank you for coming in. Thank you for talking to us today. It's been really interesting to see how we're turning a passive PowerPoint or Google Slides presentation into an interactive two-way engagement, and we look forward to hearing more.
Thank you very much.
Thanks.
You.